Sometimes, the world flips upside down so fast you're left questioning reality itself. One minute, you're doing something as ordinary as breathing raking leaves in your own front yard on a crisp October afternoon, and the next, you're center stage in a drama where everyone but you seems to have the script. That was me, James Whitaker, standing in my yard in Chesterfield, Missouri, a rake in my hands, confusion crashing over me like a rogue wave. The autumn air in Willow Heights usually carried the scent of damp earth and distant woods, but that day, it was thick with the shrill, self-righteous squawking of a woman who seemed to think my lawn was her kingdom, and I was the dragon trespassing. Two police cruisers sat at my curb, lights off but screaming their presence in our quiet subdivision. A young officer, badge reading Carter, listened with a serious face as a woman in a garish green tracksuit pointed a trembling finger at my chest. "He's a trespasser. I'm telling you," she shrieked, her voice cracking with delusional certainty. "He's faking it, pretending to live here, casing the neighborhood. Let me set the scene. I'm a retired systems engineer, 68 years old, with 42 years spent designing networks for McDonnell Douglas. My world is logic, order, processive A, then B. Data in, predictable outcome out. So being accused of not belonging in my own yard, a yard I'd paid for with a lifetime of work, was like trying to solve an equation where 2 plus 2 equaled a trumpet. It didn't compute. I'm not confrontational, me wife, Evelyn, says I'd rather debug code for a week than argue over TV shows. My default is amused patience. So my first instinct wasn't rage, but curiosity. What broken logic led this woman to this spectacular error? The house at 412 Maple Drive, a 2-story colonial, was our dream, mine and Evelyn's. After retiring, we left our smaller place in University City to be near our grandkids. We'd hunted for a year to find this place. With its massive maple tree dropping golden red leaves, I was methodically raking into neat piles. It was peaceful, rhythmic, satisfying until it wasn't. The woman in green, Margaret Hensley from across the street, had been watching me from her porch since we moved in 3 months ago. She was a fixture, like a judgmental statue, with a manicured lawn, an oversized flagpole likely breaking some rule, and an air of self-appointed authority that stifled like summer heat. We'd never spoken, but her gaze was constant when I carried groceries, checked the mail, or sipped tea on my porch swing. It wasn't curiosity, it was surveillance, filing me under suspicious. I hadn't realized she was building a case until now. Officer Carter approached, hand on his belt, professional but wary. "Good afternoon, sir," he said, stopping a safe distance away. His partner, Officer Daniels, older and weathered, stayed by the car, eyeing Margaret, who paced like a caged animal in cheap polyester. "Afternoon, officer," I said, leaning my rake against the maple, hands visible, movements slow, a lesson learned over a lifetime as a black man. "Is there a problem?" I knew the problem's name, height, and wardrobe. Carter sighed, a small puff of exasperation. "Ma'am over there called us, reported a suspicious person on this property. Says she doesn't recognize you." My first thought, you don't know me because you never said hello. My second, spoken aloud, I assure you, I'm not suspicious, just undercaffeinated. This is my property. I'm James Whitaker. My wife and I bought this house in July. A faint smile, humor not reaching my eyes. Carter nodded. "I understand, sir. Do you have ID to clear this up?" The request stung, proving I belong in my own life, but patience is my armor. "Of course," I said. "It's inside by the front door." "Okay if I grab it." He nodded. As I turned, Margaret's voice spiked. "See, he's going inside. Probably to arm himself. He's a danger." Officer Daniels grumbled. "Ma'am, let us handle this." I opened my door, grabbed my wallet, and saw my reflection in the foyer mirror, a tired black man in jeans and a thermal shirt, home but under siege. This was just the start of a long, logical, deeply satisfying equation. To grasp the absurdity, rewind to our first weeks here. We moved in July, a sticky month when Willow Heights residents hid in air-conditioned homes. The subdivision was established, houses pristine, lawns perfect, an unspoken code hanging heavy. Evelyn, a master gardener and the warmest soul alive, dove into planning flower beds. I tackled practicalities: internet, sprinklers, trash schedules. That first week, wrestling with trash bins, 3 feet apart, wheels to the house, lids closed like landing a Mars rover. I felt Margaret stare from her porch. I waved, friendly. She stared back, unblinking, then went inside. Shy, I thought, giving her the benefit of the doubt. A week later, movers arrived with our last boxes, Motown playing softly. Margaret hovered, inspecting a rose bush, eyeing us. "Good morning," I called. She sniffed, glared, and marched off. A mover, Leo, whispered, "What's her deal?" "Not a Temptations fan." I joked, but the coldness was clear. Strike 3 came at the community mailbox. As I grabbed bills, Margaret stood behind me, her unleashed yappy dog barking, her perfume cloying. "Can I help you?" I asked, holding an envelope marked James Whitaker for 12, Maple Drive. "Just ensuring the right mail gets delivered," she said, like a self-appointed postal cop. "There've been issues." I smiled tightly. "This one's fine." She stared, then tugged her dog away. That's when I knew this wasn't shyness. She'd decided I didn't belong. Evelyn noticed too. "That woman gives me the creeps, James," she said one evening. "She stares. Just a busybody." I replied, but it felt different, deliberate, like she was waiting for me to slip, to confirm her narrative. That October day, raking leaves wasn't yard work to her. It was my act, the rake a prop, my presence a crime. As I grabbed my license, I saw her delusion's depth. She wasn't just wrong, she thought she was a hero saving her neighborhood from a black man who dared own a home. Here's the twist that turned this farce into poetry. A month earlier, I'd stumbled into becoming president of the Willow Heights HOA. The annual meeting, held in a beige clubhouse with creaky chairs, was a ghost town, 15 people in a room for 50. The outgoing president, Tom, mumbled about lawn care, then announced he was moving to Florida. "Who wants to be president?" he asked. Silence. People studied their shoes, phones, ceiling stains. Nobody wanted the thankless job of handling dog complaints or paint disputes. But I have what Evelyn calls a compulsive problem-solving disorder. I see chaos, I fix it. After a minute, I said, "I'll do it." Relief washed over the room. Tom looked like I'd handed him a jackpot. "You sure?" "I'm retired," I said. "I'm good with bylaws." I'd already read the 60-page HOA covenants, a bureaucratic maze of rules on grass height and no morality. To me, it was a puzzle. At that meeting, Margaret, a former HOA secretary for 8 years, whispered, "Who is he?" to a neighbor, Janice, who replied, "Mr. Whitaker, new at the Henderson place." Margaret's face flickered with calculation, a new variable in her controlled world. The vote was unanimous. I was president. Tom handed me a hefty binder, saying, "Good luck." That night, I read it cover to cover. Margaret's signature was everywhere, letters about bushes, trash cans. She'd shaped the rules, enforcing her vision of a pristine, homogeneous neighborhood. She'd stepped down a year ago, assuming her system would run itself. Now, I held her rulebook, and as I stood with my license, facing her accusations, I was no longer just James Whitaker, homeowner. I was the HOA president, wielding her own laws. The scene outside had escalated. Officers Carter and Daniels stood like a blue wall between me and Margaret, who craned around them, shouting, "There he is. He's getting a weapon." Carter raised a hand. "Ma'am, let us do our job." I stepped forward, license extended. "James Whitaker." "The address matches." Carter studied it, checked my face, the house numbers, then radioed the county to confirm the deed. Margaret hissed, stepping onto my lawn. "You have no right here. I've lived here 25 years. I don't know you." Her words dripped venom. "Ma'am," I said, calm but firm, "I'm James. My wife's Evelyn. We bought this from the Hendersons in July." She laughed, sharp and bitter. "The Hendersons wouldn't sell to someone like you. They were good people, from here. Someone like you, the racism laid bare." Logic was useless against her belief. Carter returned, annoyance replacing neutrality. "Mr. Whitaker, everything checks out. Sorry for the disturbance." He turned to Margaret. "Ma'am, he's the legal owner. He has every right here." Her jaw dropped. "That's impossible. Did you check properly?" "He could have forged it." Daniels, gruff, stepped forward. "We confirmed the deed. He lives here." Margaret pivoted, desperate. "He shouldn't be here. We have an HOA rules. Arrest him, remove him." Carter blinked. "We can't arrest a man for standing in his yard. That's when I saw my opening. Actually, officers, I said, voice steady. She's right about the HOA. As its president, I'm familiar with the bylaws. Margaret's face cycled through shock, denial, horror, her system crashing. Section 9.4 forbids harassment that disturbs a resident's peaceful enjoyment. Calling the police with a false story and demanding my arrest qualifies. The officers exchanged looks, Carter suppressing a smile. I wasn't the suspect anymore, I was the authority, wielding her rules. Daniels turned to Margaret, voice like a principal's. Making a false police report is serious. 2 cars, 45 minutes, wasted because you can't believe a man's raking leaves. We won't charge you today, but another call like this, and you'll be cited for misuse of 911. Understand. Margaret's fire dimmed to sullen resentment. I understand, she muttered, eyes on the ground. Go back to your property, Carter said. She marched off, slamming her door. Neighbors, Mrs. Gable, Mr. Thompson retreated, the spectacle over. Thompson grinned, resuming his car wash. Mr. Whitaker, Carter said, shaking his head. Sorry you dealt with that. President Whitaker sounds good, though. Daniels nodded toward Margaret's house. Good luck with her. They left, leaving my yard littered with emotional debris. Inside, Evelyn met me, worry etched on her face. Police, James? What happened? I told her everything, Margaret's call, her accusations, my HOA reveal. Her worry turned to anger, then a grin. That's not irony, it's poetry. It's a system, I said, resolve hardening. And she's about to learn how it works. I wasn't driven by vengeance, but by balance, restoring order. Margaret had abused 911. I'd use her HOA to hold her accountable. In my study, I opened the binder to Section 9.4. No resident shall harass or disturb another's peaceful enjoyment. Enforcement was clear: warning, $50 fine, escalating fines, then a lien. On crisp stationery, I typed a formal notice. October 14, 2023, to Margaret Hensley, for 11, Maple Drive, for violating Section 9.4 by falsely reporting me to police and demanding my arrest. It warned of fines for further incidents. I signed it as HOA president and mailed it certified, a quiet, bureaucratic checkmate. Margaret vanished for days, curtains drawn, no porch patrols. But she didn't surrender. On trash day, my bin was shoved against the recycling, a rule violation. The next week, my newspaper lay in a puddle. Juvenile, baiting me to snap. I didn't strategized. As HOA president, I conducted a fair sweep, noting violations, the Thompsons' unapproved boat, the Millers' basketball hoop, peeling shutters. I sent 7 polite notices, including one to Margaret for her forest green sign, which broke color rules, black, brown, navy only. Most neighbors complied. Margaret crumpled her letter, ignoring it. Her unleashed dog earned another notice, then a $50 fine for the sign. I sent each via certified mail, building a paper trail. Evelyn laughed. For a non-confrontational man, you're waging war. Not war, I said. A performance review. She's failing. Margaret's counterattack came via a flyer on the clubhouse door. Emergency HOA meeting. End the tyranny of our new president. She wanted a coup. The bylaws required a board member or 25% homeowner petition. She had neither. I could have ignored it, but this was her stage, and I'd steal the spotlight. I prepared a factual presentation, violation notices, bylaws, a chart of Margaret's non-compliance harassment, sign, dog, unpaid fine. At the meeting, 30 residents gathered. Margaret, in a red blazer, ranted, calling me a dictator, targeting her with a $50 fine over a 20-year-old sign. A few clapped weakly. Mr. Thompson spoke. I got a boat notice. He was right. I moved it. Another neighbor agreed. My shutter notice was polite. Margaret's face, red, another revolt, was crumbling. I stood, folder in hand. Bailey's right, I sent notices. It's my job, one no one wanted. I sent 7, all for clear violations. I listed them, showing fairness. But Ms. Hensley ignored a harassment warning, a sign notice, a fine, and leash laws. This isn't targeting, it's her pattern of noncompliance. The room fell silent. The rules, many of which she wrote, apply to everyone. I'll step down if you want, but while I'm president, I'll enforce them fairly. Her coup collapsed. Residents left, avoiding her gaze. The meeting she called became her trial. Margaret became a ghost. No patrols, no glares. I eased up on notices, my point made. Her sign stayed green, fines unpaid, reaching $150. At Whippersnapper. He's a dictator, she cried, but her neighbors weren't buying it. Thompson's boat was gone, the miller's hoop approved. Margaret's defiance her sign, dog, unpaid fines piled up. I consulted an HOA lawyer, ensuring every step was legal. The final demand letter listed her violations, $185 owed, and warned of a lien if unpaid within 30 days, citing Missouri law. It was her trap, built by her own rules, delivered certified. She signed for it, her angry scrawl on the receipt. The 30-day countdown ticked toward January 5th. Thanksgiving and Christmas passed, our house alive with grandkids' laughter. I expected to start lien proceedings, but on January 2nd, I saw a ladder by Margaret's door, a can of navy blue paint. Her sign, now compliant, was her surrender. A cashier's check for $185 arrived in the HOA's mailbox. No note, just defeat. The war was over, not with a bang but a quiet, documented victory. Spring brought brighter days. Margaret walked her leashed dog, offering a curt nod on see no apology, just acknowledgement. Dignity, I learned, is quiet. Not about crushing foes but proving your place with integrity. Margaret's reign ended. I restored peace, showing our community that rules are for all, and respect, not prejudice, builds a neighborhood.